Good afternoon and welcome to the New York City Council hearing of the Committee on Zoning and Franchise. At this time, can everybody please silence your cell phones? If you wish to testify, please go up to the Sergeant at Arms desk to fill out a testimony slip. Written testimony can be emailed to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Again, that is landusetestimony.council.nyc.gov. At this time and going forward, no one is to approach the dais. I repeat, no one is to approach the dais. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Just imagine this is a gavel, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to a meeting of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchise. I am Councilmember Riley, Chair of the Subcommittee. This afternoon I'm joined by Councilmember Carr and remotely by Councilmember Shulman. Today we are scheduled to we are scheduled to hear 4 hearings. The first public hearing will be regarding the termination of a restrictive declaration to facilitate a mixed-use building with residential, commercial, and community facility uses in Queens. We will then hear a proposal for senior housing in Brooklyn, followed by a proposal for a mixed-use light industrial and office building in Queens. The fourth and last hearing concerns a residential project in Manhattan, and I now turn it over to the Subcommittee Council to review today's procedure.
Today we were also scheduled to hold one vote, and in addition to the 4 hearings. However, the vote which concerns 230 Kent Avenue rezoning proposal, which consists of LUs 11 and 12, will not be taking place and will be laid over until tomorrow due to a lack of quorum. Moving on to the hearing procedure. I'm William Vidal, counsel to this subcommittee. This meeting is being held in hybrid format. Members of the public who wish to testify may testify in person or via Zoom. Members of the public wishing to testify remotely may register by visiting the New York City Council website at www.council.nyc.gov/landuse to sign up. Or for those of you here in the chambers, please see one of the Sergeant at Arms to prepare and submit a speaker card. In the speaker card, please make sure you indicate your the project name. Members of the public may also view a live stream broadcast of this meeting at the Council's website. When you are called to testify before the subcommittee, if you are joining us remotely, you will remain muted until recognized by the chair or myself to speak. When you're recognized, your microphone will be unmuted. Please take a moment to check your device and confirm that your mic is on before you begin speaking. We will limit public testimony to 2 minutes per witness. If you have additional testimony you would like the subcommittee to consider, or if you have written testimony you would like to submit instead of appearing before the subcommittee, please email it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Please indicate the LU number and or project name in the subject line of your email. We request that witnesses joining us remotely remain in the meeting until excused by the chair, as council members may have questions. Chair Riley will now continue with today's agenda items.
Thank you, Council. I will now open the first public hearing on LU 18 related to the 88-08 Justice Avenue and the application to terminate a recorded restricted declaration recorded against the property, which is located in Councilmember Christian's district in Elmhurst, Queens. The cancellation of the restrictive declaration will facilitate the development of an 18-story mixed-use building, residential, commercial, and community facility uses pursuant to the existing C4-2 zoning district regulations. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/landuse. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants here to prepare and submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit written testimony, you can always do so by emailing it to us at landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Council, please call the first panel for this item.
The first panel consists of Eric Palatnik and Williams, just Eric Palatnik.
Just Eric.
Council, please administer the affirmation.
Please raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Eric Palatnik.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before the subcommittee and in your answers to all council member questions?
I do.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And before we begin, I would just like to say we've been joined by Chair Hanks. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, as you begin, I'll just ask you to please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Good afternoon again, Eric Palatnik, and I am here on behalf of 88 Justice Avenue. Thank you very much to the members of the committee that are here in attendance and those that are on Zoom. We're here today to ask your permission to remove a restrictive declaration on the property that prevents the development from containing any commercial use. That restrictive declaration was put in place in 1972, and I'll go through the details of it. The building is already built. There's an 18-story building, mixed-use building there with some uses in it that include the Academy Charter School, as well as Advantage Physicians, which are all use group 4 uses. There's no use group 6 use. If you were to agree to the removal of the restrictive declaration, we would be able to occupy some of the space within the building for commercial use. Not much, but some of it, and that's the reason why we're here. The buildings that you see in the picture right now, the building with its base is constructed already. Next slide, please. The right side of the slide is just some salient information, which I'll tell you. The building is 18 stories tall. It has 330,000 square feet. Of that, 150,000 square feet is residential, and about 133,000 is existing community facility. If the approval was to be granted, it would free up about 45,000 square feet for some commercial use. I'll note that that Academy Charter School that's in the building right now is looking to take some of that space, so it may even be less commercial use put to use. Next slide, please. This gives you an image of the building itself. As I said already, it's already built. It's next to the Queens Center Mall. It's on the site of an iconic diner that was built many years ago, in 1972, actually, as a part of the restrictive declaration. And that diner is no longer there. It's called the Georgia Diner. So what the restrictive declaration really did was allow for the Georgia Diner to be constructed in the red area you see up on Queens Boulevard, and it maintained that the remainder of the property be developed upon with a very specific use. Back in the 70s, when city planning and the council wanted to see a specific development, they enacted a restrictive declaration on the property that would guide that development. Well, the owner never built the rest of that development. The only thing built at the time was the Georgia Diner in the back top portion, and the rest of the site was left vacant. Next slide, please. That was until our client purchased the property. They demolished the Georgia Diner, and they built what you see here in the image in front of you, which I've been presenting to you already. Again, the request to remove the restrictive declaration would allow for some of the space in that 3 or 4 story portion you see on the top image to be put to commercial use. Not much space, because some of the space has been claimed already by the Queens Central Academy Charter School, which is already within the building. Next slide, please. This slide gives you a good image of the building from a sectional, and it shows you how it's laid out. The most important part for this request is that bottom purple part where it says commercial floor area. That's not allowed right now under the restrictive declaration. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Eric Palatnik. Sorry, you came in later and I didn't get a chance to introduce myself. So the request is to allow that portion that says commercial floor area, 45,000 square feet, to be used as commercial floor area. Right now, under the restrictive declaration, it's only allowed to be used as community facility. But I will point out that, as I've said already, Academy Charter School, which controls the floor below it, will be taking some of that space, and we hope that a little bit more, about 5 or 10,000 square feet, will be left over for commercial use. The remainder of the presentation is all about just the location of the property and so forth and so on, so I'll skim through it rather quick, because I know you have a busy agenda. The crux of it is the removal of the restrictive declaration. If you can click back a few slides to the pictures of the property, please. Forward, I meant to the forward. There's some ground shots, just to give everybody an idea of what it looks like. And we could save you some time. There you go. So as I've been telling you, the building is built already, and if you just click through a couple of these, you'll see this is what's in place right now. That essentially summarizes our application. There's no reason for me to go too much further in depth. If you'd like me to answer any further questions, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to present the plans in greater detail, as well as to explain anything else that you may want to see. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to know for the record, we've been joined by Councilmember Salam. So Eric, just have 2 questions, and then I'll see if any other members of the committee have any questions. So can you please describe what type of commercial space you're looking to build out here?
Yes, it's a split. Some of the commercial space that's going to be left over will be used for local retail. We don't know exactly what type of local retail. The remainder of the commercial space would be made available to professional offices, either lawyers, accountants, things of that nature. There's not much space. We don't think much space will be left over once the school expands.
So you don't currently have any tenants that are going to occupy any of these
Well,
spaces?
like I've been saying, right now, the school, Central Queens Academy Charter School that occupies the community facility space is in talks to take over some of the 45,000 square foot space that we're allocating now for the commercial use. So when that's done, there'll be somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 square feet. That's what I'm telling you right now is what they're thinking. Some of that space is at the ground floor, so that'll be some local retail, card shop, something like that. And upstairs, there'll be some space too, and they're thinking there'll be some professional offices. But we're hoping the bulk of the space the school will take.
Thank you. Are there any other members who have questions for this panel? There being no questions, this applicant panel is now excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify? Before we begin, excuse me. Before we begin, I'm going to call out 4 names. We don't know which hearing you want to testify on, so I'm going to call these names out and just go to the sergeant just to indicate. Andrew Ellis, Jane Lindberg, Jeffrey Glaive, and Christopher Leon Johnson. If you could just go to the sergeant at arms and indicate which hearing you want to testify on. Out of those names, do anyone want to testify on this current applicant right now? No? Okay.
And Chair, we also don't have anyone signed up online to testify.
Thank you. Okay. You're excused. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've been joined by Councilmember Moya.
And we've also been joined remotely by Councilmember Moya. There being no other members of the public who wish to testify on LU 18 related to 88-08 Justice Avenue, this application is now closed and the item is laid over. I will now open the second public hearing on preconsiders LUs relating to the Jenin Hall expansion rezoning proposal in Councilmember Gutierrez District in Flushing, Queens. The proposal is a rezoning to develop a 218 affordable apartments for elderly households. This rezoning will also involve mapping mandatory inclusionary housing. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online. If you have not, you must register online, and you may not do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. Once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit a written testimony, you may do that by emailing us at landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Councilmember Gutierrez couldn't be here, but she would like me to read a letter. I express my wholehearted endorsement and support for the proposed expansion of Jenin Hall, which aims to provide amenity-rich, energy-efficient, and affordable senior housing in East Williamsburg. As a community anchor since 1975, St. Nick's Alliance has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to serving the needs of our diverse community. Jenin Hall, with its 150 units of low-income senior housing under the HUD Section 202 program, refinanced with the NYC HDC in 2009, stands as a testament to their dedication to provide safe and affordable housing for our senior citizens. The proposed expansion, which involves the construction of a 14-story, 218-unit, 100% affordable senior housing building, is a crucial step in addressing the pressing need for affordable housing for seniors in our neighborhood. With North Brooklyn facing soaring rent burdens and an alarming increase in housing costs, it is imperative that we prioritize affordable and senior housing initiatives to ensure that our seniors can age with dignity and security in the communities they call home. In North Brooklyn, 23% of the renters are severely rent burdened, and seniors are particularly vulnerable in displacement due to population growth and rent increases. The proposed expansion of Jenin Halls not only provide much needed affordable housing options, but also help combat the displacement of our senior residents. Moreover, the project commitment to energy efficient and sustainability align with our shared values of environmental stewardship and community resilience. The inclusion of amenities such as a library, community room, enhanced security measures, and a fitness center enhances the quality of life of our senior resident and foster a sense of community and belonging. In conclusion, I urge the Subcommittee of Zoning and Franchise to support the proposed expansion of Jennings Hall. I have worked closely with St. Nick's Alliance on this project, and it represents a critical opportunity to address the urgent need for affordable senior housing in our neighborhood and reaffirm our commitment to creating exclusive and vibrant communities for all residents. This letter was submitted by Councilmember Gutierrez. Council, can you please call the first panel for this item?
Yes, our first panel consists of Judith Gallant, Charles Stewart, Frank Lang, and Crystal Neng.
Council, can you please administer the affirmation?
Please raise your right hand and state your name for the record, starting from right to left. Do you affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony before the subcommittee and in your answers to all the questions that council members ask?
Thank you. And for the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, before you begin, just state your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes, my name is Frank Lang. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for Housing for St. Nick's Alliance. The council member basically said a lot of things that I had in my presentation. We're delighted to be here to present to you a rezoning to create 218 units of desperately needed affordable housing in Williamsburg. Next slide, please. As the council member mentioned, St. Nick's Alliance was created in 1975 by local residents and business people, and it continues to have a board primarily made up of local people. We built Jennings Hall in 1980, 150 units, and we refinanced it through the city's program, HDC, in 2009. And it's really been an anchor, as she mentioned, for the community, providing that affordable senior housing. Next slide, please. Community Board 1, like most of New York City, is desperately in need of affordable housing. And Community Board 1 in Williamsburg, Greenpoint, has put affordable senior housing as one of its priorities. In particular, the elderly in the neighborhood are being displaced because they live in the two-story properties, two-family homes, which have no rent regulation protections. And so this kind of housing is really valuable for residents. Next slide. The project is, this site plan shows in white the existing Jennings Hall. It's made up of two existing buildings, one an old nurse's residence and the other a new construction in 1980. We purchased the adjacent property at 819 Grand Street on the corner, and the proposal is to combine them together to make this the third wing of Jennings Hall. So it would operate like three buildings, but operate really as one building together. It's on the intersection of two large streets and across from the public high school in the neighborhood. Next slide, please. This is just some images of the surrounding area and the different typologies of the building. Next slide. The development plan, St. Nick's Alliance purchased the adjacent bank building, which was vacant. Chase had moved its branch, and the option here was to leverage that property with Jennings Hall and create one property. We want to be able to make that a building come over the parking area of Jennings Hall, and so that way we can achieve that density. We will also be able to leverage the existing social services at Jennings Hall to be able to provide it for all 368 residential units. Next slide. The project itself will be, as the council member noted, 100% affordable. It will range from formerly homeless to residents incomes up to 60% AMI. There will also be a ground floor commercial because it's a corner site right at the intersection of two commercial streets. I'll let my colleague Charles Stewart finish out the presentation.
Hello, my name is Charlie Stewart. I'm the Assistant Director of Real Estate Development at St. Nick's Alliance. Hello? Okay. Next slide, please. So we are proposing 3 zoning map amendments and 1 text amendment as part of this application. And the basic intent is to change the zoning designations but leave the map boundaries and the C24 commercial overlay intact. So here we're proposing to change the R7A designations with an 4.6 FAR to R7X with a 6 FAR, and change the R6B designations with a 2.2 FAR along Powers Street to R7A with a 4.6 FAR. And these changes will generate the floor area needed to develop the third wing of Jennings Hall, and they will also fix an error from the 2009 neighborhood rezoning that put the Powers Street wing of Jennings Hall out of zoning compliance. And finally, these changes would allow us to put height and density in an appropriate location on the corner of 2 wide streets next to a train station with excellent transportation access. Next slide, please. The third wing of Jennings Hall will have an equal mix of studios and 1-bedrooms, and we plan to use HPD's SARA program, so the building will have project-based Section 8 vouchers for all residents, including formerly homeless. Next slide, please. This is a view of the building facing northeast from Grand Street. The building has setbacks on the 7th and 11th floors, and its facade tapers at a 3% angle along Grand Street above the setbacks. It will be comprised of 3 different materials: brick, metal panels, and EIFS. Next slide, please. This is a view facing northwest from Grand Street, and this image shows the impact of the different materials which help to break down that long street wall. Next slide, please. And this view faces southeast from Powers Street and shows how the new building interacts with the existing Jennings Hall building. Next slide. And finally, this view shows the ground floor commercial space at the corner of Bushwick and Grand. And one thing we're proposing here, which might be hard to see, is a 6-foot setback of the first floor storefront along Bushwick Avenue, which will create more circulation space for pedestrians entering or exiting the stairwell to Grand Street Station, which is currently built right up to the existing house.
Just give me 1 second. I'm going to have to interrupt you because we actually do have quorum for our vote, and I just want to make sure we can do it real quick because we have council members that have to leave.
Sure.
And just to be clear, we will be returning back to you, and you will be able to start over if you would like to. Thank you for pausing your hearings.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am briefly interrupting this hearing to hold a vote that was scheduled for today regarding the 230 Kent Avenue. The vote is to approve with modifications LUs 11 and 12. This development project is located in Councilmember Ressler's district in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and seeks to build a mixed-use residential building with approximately 40 apartments. The first proposed action involves rezoning a Pearly Manufacturing District M1-4 to a mixed-use district M1-4/R7X. The second proposed action involves mapping mandatory inclusionary housing over the rezoning area and adding the proposed mixed-use district to the regulations in the zoning resolution that governed mixed-use districts. We are recommending 2 modifications. The first modification is to reduce the rezoning area to only include the development site. As currently proposed, the rezoning would apply to applicant's lot and the adjacent property owned by Con Edison. Upon discussion with Con Edison, it was determined that the future utility needs in this area remain uncertain and that Con Edison's property should be reserved for potential future utility uses. As such, Con Edison's property should not be rezoned. The second modification is to remove MIH option 2 and requires that the proposed development comply with MIH Option 1. MIH Option 1 requires that 25% of the units be provided to the households, making an average of 60% AMI or less, which is approximately $60,000 for one person. Members of the subcommittee, we also been joined by Councilmember Abreu. Members of the subcommittee who have questions or remarks about today's item should use their raise hand function if you're online, or just let the council know if you're here. Council will announce members in the order that hands are raised. Council, are there any members who have questions at this time?
There are no council members with questions in person. Let me just verify online. I don't believe so. We may proceed with the vote.
Okay. Thank you. I will now call for a vote to approve with modifications LUs 11 and 12 relating to the 230 Kent Avenue rezoning proposal. Council, please call the roll.
Chair Riley,
Aye.
Councilmember Moya,
I vote aye.
Councilmember Abreu,
Aye.
Chair Hanks,
Aye.
Councilmember Shulman,
Aye.
Councilmember Salam.
I vote aye.
We have 6 votes in affirmative, no abstention, and no council member voted against it. Therefore, these 2 resolutions are adopted.
Thank you, Council. And now back to you guys. Thank you for your patience.
Sure.
And if I may, just to be clear for the record, we are returning to the hearing that we temporarily paused to take a vote, and you may proceed.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was just saying that in this view, we set back the street wall 6 feet to accommodate the stairwell, which is built right up to the lot line, which is feedback that we heard from the community that it's very tight as you exit the stairwell. So we sort of took the community's feedback into consideration in the design. Next slide, please. This building will be high performance and energy efficient. It's being designed with passive house principles. It will be 100% electric with high efficiency heating and cooling and ventilation, triple pane windows, and rooftop solar. These features will lower our operating costs, reduce fossil fuel dependency and emissions, and create a quiet, safe living environment for our senior residents. Next slide. It's hard to see here, but we're also proposing landscape improvements as part of the project. The interior courtyard of Jennings Hall will be upgraded to provide more walking paths and seating areas for residents, and we plan to renovate the building entrance along Powers Street to create an ADA compliant ramp with a more attractive and efficient entryway. And we also plan to add walking paths and seating areas for residents along the perimeter of Jennings Hall, along Powers and Bushwick, which is currently just underutilized grass. And finally, we're planning a landscape terrace on the 2nd floor of the new building, 819 Grand, along with green roofs at the setback floors. Next slide. And that concludes the presentation. We're happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Just a few questions. How many units will be permanently affordable under the proposed MIH mapping?
Permanent, well, I think it would be 10%, right?
All of the units would be affordable. They're heirs units, so to be heirs, they have to be available to those who are 62 years of age or more and earning 60% of AMI maximum. And all of the units will be available at that income level.
We, just, Chair, so you understand, we, all of our units are permanently affordable, even if they're not required to be. We've done refinance and done that to make sure all of them stay that way.
And if I could just clarify, MIH is being mapped in the event that this project is destroyed by a casualty or something and it were redeveloped, then MIH would kick in. But because they're heirs, the MIH options don't actually apply. Heirs has its own affordability requirements in perpetuity.
Thank you. What measures do you plan on taking to ensure that the current senior housing within the residential complex are not negatively impacted during construction by noise or dust?
So we have to submit a plan of action. So we have already started to look at how we can maintain safety and accessibility. Part of the plan was looking at that. So we've been meeting with the tenants and talking about the project and looking at how we can mitigate that in terms of the overall design. There will be protections on the existing building. There will be, in terms of the dust, there will be netting and other, work impacts to make sure that that doesn't come out.
Yeah, and we've been in contact. I mean, there are our residents. We've been in contact with them throughout design planning, and they helped us develop the plan for the new building, the amenities, and so forth. So that planning will definitely occur, and we intend to be in close contact with residents as we develop that plan.
How long do you anticipate the construction to take?
24 months.
And lastly, what type of business do you plan on utilizing for the ground floor retail space?
We're not sure right now. As you're aware, retail is very in flux. So the space is about 5,000 square feet, and it's a corner. So it can be subdivided into 2 or even 3 smaller spaces. So we're not sure what would be there. We have a 9,000 square foot space that we had vacant for 3 years until we finally found a tenant, and it was a mid-block. So we're kind of seeing how Grand Street goes.
Okay. No more questions. Just want to commend you because the council member provided this letter and she wanted me to read it. And it looks like you have been doing your due diligence with connecting with the community and the stakeholders over there. So just want to commend you and thank you for your what you're doing over there and looking forward for this project. Are there any more council members with any questions for this applicant panel?
No, Chair.
There being no questions, this applicant panel is excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on Jennings Hall rezoning proposal?
At this time, there are no members that are signed up online to testify regarding this proposal, and that no one has submitted a speaker card in order to testify, but just confirming that no one in the audience would like to testify regarding this proposal, Jennings Hall.
Okay.
Seeing no questions.
There being no members of the public who wish to testify on the preconsidered LUs relating to the Jennings Hall rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. I will now open the third public hearing on preconsidered LUs relating to the 21-17 37th Avenue rezoning proposal. This proposal seeks to develop a new 7-story mixed-use light industrial and office building in Councilmember Wan's district in Ravenswood, Queens. The application consists of a rezoning from an M1-1 manufacturing district to an M1-5 manufacturing district. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online. You may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land-use. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants at arms to prepare your speaker's card. If you prefer to submit written testimony, you can do so by emailing landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Council, please call the first panel for this item.
The first panel consists of Richard Lobel.
Richard, you got rid of the beard, man. Council, please administer the affirmation.
Please raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Richard Lobel.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony and response to questions?
I do, thank you.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, before you begin, please state your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Thank you, Chair Riley. Council members, Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel PC for the applicant. We're here today to discuss the 2117 37th Avenue rezoning. I note that the current screenshot is of a different rezoning. I think we're changing that over. So while that is loading, I'll briefly discuss a project description. So this rezoning consists primarily of 2 lots, which front 37th Avenue in Long Island City, Queens. The current zoning, next slide, is an existing M11 district, which is proposed to be rezoned to an M15 district. This would allow for the development of a new 7-story mixed manufacturing and commercial building. The development site is roughly 17,000 square feet. The proposed building would be roughly 84,000 square feet. with a total height of 113 feet and would set back above 82 feet from 37th Avenue and 20th Street, 20th Street and 22nd Street. 22nd Street. The proposed uses at the building would be 21,000 square feet plus or minus for commercial use and 63,000 square feet for light manufacturing. We would also propose, although not required, 58 parking spaces, which would service the occupants and visitors to the building. The next slide shows the zoning map. And the zoning map really demonstrates here why this is entirely appropriate. Most of the zoning, tough to see, but in the circled portion to the north of 37th Avenue is M11, which is a very limiting zoning district. It has a low FAR, high parking requirement, doesn't really contribute to development here within the industrial business zone. While to the south of 37th Avenue is an M13 district, which, although allowing building bulk at the same level as the M15 is proposed, has an onerous parking requirement. So the proposal here would be to allow an M15, which would allow for a 5 FAR, and remove the parking requirement to allow this building to be used in a productive manner. The next slide is a tax map demonstrating the boundaries of the rezoning, again coterminous with the both the rezoning area of the development site as well as the adjacent gas station, and fronting on 37th Avenue for a distance of roughly 191 feet. The next slide is the area map, which really well demonstrates why this rezoning is entirely appropriate. As you can see from the map, the area is heavily industrial with light manufacturing and industrial uses. 37th Avenue here is a wide street which can easily handle the proposed increase in bulk. And 21st Street to the west of the site is also a wide street. So you have the benefit of a corner lot with frontage on a wide street and within 100 feet of another wide street. In addition, you've got the Ravenswood houses to the north, roughly a block north of the site, which provides ample opportunity for walk to work job creation, which is a goal of the city, as well as of the community board, who voted 25-0 in favor of this rezoning. Finally, there are abundant transportation options in the site. The site is in the transit zone and again would allow for a productive use. The user of the site, Parts Authority, long-standing New York City business with many locations throughout the city and indeed the country, which would be able to consolidate many of their operations within this proposed building. So it's kind of an exciting opportunity for the applicant as well as for the local area. The next slide, an eagle-eye view of the surrounding area. You can see that currently the site is underutilized. There are the dense Ravenswood houses to the north, roughly 31 buildings at 6 stories each. So there is density within the area and within the surrounding 1 to 2 blocks. The next several slides are the building plans. The first, a rendering, which was commented on by the community board as being a potentially attractive addition to the local neighborhood. The next slide has the subcellar parking and the cellar parking on the slide after. Sorry, 2 slides, including 58 parking spaces on the lower 2 levels. The next slide is the ground floor, which contains both retail uses as well as a lobby for the commercial uses above. In addition, there is a 22nd Street here has a loading dock, 2 loading docks off of 22nd Street from existing curb cuts, and the entrance to the parking area is on 37th Avenue. The next slide, I should say the next slide are floors 2 through 5, which contain the roughly 63,000 square feet of industrial uses at the site, primarily to be used by Parts Authority for their manufacturing of kits, which are shipped nationwide in order to allow for local businesses to use them for repair of transmissions. And then the top 2 floors, floors 6 and 7, both contain office uses, again, roughly 21,000 square feet. That really concludes the majority of the presentation. Again, we hope that the council will join in with the unanimous vote of Community Board 1, the Queensborough President, and City Planning, and approve what we find to be a meritorious application. And with that, Chair, we're happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Richard. You didn't get a chance to go into it, but just briefly, can you just outline the building's incorporated sustainability features?
Oh, sure. Actually, if you can forward the slides past the building plans, sustainability measures, great. Okay, so the next slide has the proposed sustainability measures, which was a topic of conversation at the Community Board and Queensborough President. We are allowing for renewable energy at the site through the use of solar panels atop the building. The building envelope is triple insulated with full height windows to allow for maximum natural lighting and to minimize the use of artificial lighting. There are energy and technology integration systems within the building, high-efficiency heating, LED lighting and such, and we are including water effectiveness measures, including low-flow fixtures and rainwater retention tanks. So the building itself allows for an attractive envelope and one which is also environmentally sensitive.
How are you addressing potential conflicts between the manufacturing uses and the commercial usage?
Yes, so there are separate entrances for the to the lobby for the offices above, as well as the manufacturing uses. There's a separate elevator bank, which allows for freight elevators coming off of 22nd Street. In addition, the local area, while this is an upzoning, would allow more bulk, the existing MO1 district would allow for this mix of commercial and retail uses. The retail is really a small part of the project, which is intended to be for a local food store in order to service the building occupants in the surrounding area, while the uses above are generally centered on the operator, Parts Authority, who is going to be operating the light manufacturing and some of the office space.
Is there an idea or a sense of how many employees would be located in this building?
I think at the last conversation, I'm happy to answer supplementally, but my understanding was that there would be a minimum of, I believe, 70 employees at the site. And I can correct the record and provide that to the council supplementally. I know also we have people on the phone with us right now, the applicant themselves, who would be able to weigh in on total employees.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are there any more council members with questions for this panel?
No,
No.
Chair.
There being no questions, this applicant panel is excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on 21-17 37th Avenue rezoning proposal?
No, Chair, there is no one signed up in person or online to testify regarding this application. However, I just want to make sure there's no one in the room. If you would like to testify regarding this proposal, please see one of the Sergeant at Arms. Not seeing any, Chair, we can proceed with closing this hearing.
Thank you, council. There being no members of the public who wish to testify on preconsidered LUs related to the 21-17 37th Avenue rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. All right, now. I will now open the fourth and last public hearing on the preconsidered LUs relating to the East 94th Street rezoning proposal in Councilmember Menden's district in Manhattan. This proposal consists of a rezoning from a manufacturing district, M1-4, to a commercial district, C4-6, to develop a mixed-use residential development in Yorkville. The proposal includes mapping mandatory inclusionary housing over the rezoning area, which will require applicant to include affordable housing in the proposed development. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit written testimony, you can always do so by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And I would now like to give the floor to Councilmember Menden to give her remarks.
Thank you so much, Chair Riley, for holding today's important hearing. The East 94th Street rezoning has the possibility to be the first mandatory inclusionary housing project for the east side of Manhattan and could bring upwards of 450 units of housing and 100 vitally important affordable housing units. New York City is in the midst of an ongoing affordability crisis. Our city is neither building nor preserving enough affordable housing to keep up with demand. Very few units of affordable housing have been created in my district in recent years, which is totally and wholly unacceptable. In fact, over half of all council districts, 26 out of 51 council districts to be precise, created less than 100 units of affordable housing in 2022. This is a paltry level of production, and we must change this. Community Board 8 of Manhattan approved this rezoning by a vote of 32 in favor, 4 opposed, and 3 abstentions, but with conditions that included that the proportion of affordable units be increased to 30%, that open space be incorporated into the site, that the height of the building be reduced to a maximum of 355 feet, that construction use all union labor or pay prevailing wages, among other conditions. It's my understanding that the applicant has reached preliminary agreements with 32BJ, and I urge the applicant to continue conversations with the Carpenters Union and other labor unions in regard to this proposal so that project labor agreements can be executed. At today's hearing, I look forward to the applicant answering the committee's questions, to determine which, if any, recommendations from Community Board 8 and the City Planning Commission have been incorporated. Lastly, I've asked the Department of Housing and Preservation to commit resources to this project, and am hopeful that the administration can support the east side of Manhattan's affordable housing needs. I want to once again thank the chair for allowing me to speak, and I look forward to today's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Menon. Council, please call the first panel for this item.
The first panel consists of Eric Knowles and Jerry Johnson.
Thank you. Council, please administer the affirmation.
Please raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Jerry Johnson.
Eric Knowles.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your statement and in response to questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, before you begin, just please state your name and organization for the record.
Hi, my name is Jerry Johnson. I'm with Fox Rothschild, and we're land use counsel to the applicant.
Eric Knowles, Fox Rothschild as well.
Next slide. The applicant here is LM East 94 LLC, which is a venture between Friedland Properties and the Chapman Group, both entities with deep roots in New York City and the Upper East Side. Should this rezoning be approved, the proposed building would be a 385,000 square foot building with approximately 452 units of housing, 113 of which will be permanently affordable pursuant to option 1 of the MIH program. Next slide. This is a land use map showing the area around the site. The area in question is an M14 zoning district on the north side of East 94th Street, midway between 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue. The site itself is a vestige of the former industrial past of the Yorkville neighborhood. And as you can see, surrounding the shaded area, which is the rezoning area, all the land use is mixed use and some minor commercial. And we believe that the proposed change to a mixed-use district is appropriate in this location. I wanted to just talk about the development site and the rezoning area itself. If you're going from west to east, there are 6 properties. The first 3, which are on the west side, are occupied currently by a 5-story commercial building, a 4-story community facility building, which is a gym for a local parochial school, and a 5-story walk-up apartment building that's occupied and I believe rent regulated. Then you get to the 3 sites that are owned by our client, which is a vacant 5-story walk-up apartment building and 2 parking garages, one 3 and one 4-story with some automotive uses as well as parking. Those 3 sites will be redeveloped for the base of the new building, utilizing air rights, hopefully from the 3 other buildings that are to remain. Next slide. So we believe this rezoning, both in terms of density and the use, is appropriate for this transit-rich area. We have 2 subway lines and multiple bus lines operating near the site, and it's also going to provide 450 potential new housing units for the area, which has had low production recently and high income rents compared to the rest of the city, as well as a low incidence of new affordable units. Next slide, please. So I'd like to talk about basically the building form in this location. This slide shows an aerial looking from north, south, west across the site from 97th Street on the right side to East 90th Street on the left side. And as you can see, this area of the Upper East Side is characteristic of towers located both on the avenues and mid-block. And so our proposed building, we believe in this area, is an appropriate building form and density for the area. You can see it a little bit hard, but the area to be rezoned is outlined in yellow. The area that will contain the new building is outlined in red, and the area that is not outlined in red will actually have light and air easements over it, which will preserve the open space above those existing buildings to remain in perpetuity for the benefit of all the surrounding properties. Next slide. This is another image of just showing you the towers located between 90th Street and 97th Street and 2nd and 3rd Avenues. I'd like to point out that the area, it's number 17 on the upper right, is the Avalon Bay development, which has been approved but has not yet been constructed. Next slide. So this is another image looking south, from the south looking north, showing the proposed building superimposed within the existing built environment. And again, we believe that the building form is appropriate in this location as well as the uses. We believe it will provide a number of new residential units as well as affordable units. And we believe it's appropriate due to the transit-rich nature of the area. Next slide. And I'd like to turn it over to my colleague Eric Knowles to finish the presentation.
Thanks, Jerry. So just to continue on, the development itself will contain a mix of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedroom apartments. While that mix is not solidified yet, as we're still early in the design process, we do believe that about 50 to 55% will be 1 bedrooms, with the remainder being studios, 2s, and 3s. The building will be ADA compliant. It's going to have a ground floor cellar uses, will be retail and our community facility. Again, it's quite early in the process in terms of design, but we have been in discussions with daycare and potential child service tenants, and they've been very good conversations so far, and we hope to continue those conversations and think that it's a potentially viable option in a portion of the ground floor. The new development will result in a new streetscape, new street trees, the elimination of the garages and the curb cuts, and the applicant is also continuing to consider green measures such as green roof, vegetated planters, or underground detention for stormwater retention. And again, early in the design process, but we think some of those or some combination can be viable, but it's still something that we're working through to nail down. And finally, as was mentioned earlier by the council member, we do have a signed agreement with 32BJ for when the building is operational. Next slide. So just going back to what Jerry was saying about the light and air easements, the shaded area to the left of the building will be open and unobstructed in perpetuity. So the 3 existing buildings will be capped as part of this agreement with the owners to transfer the floor area and grant those light and air easements. So at about 61 feet, I think is what it's showing there. Above, there will be no future development, which is a consistent kind of makeup between the towers and lower scale buildings in this area. A larger tower next to a smaller scale building, preserving that air back towards 95th Street. Next slide, please. And here's just an illustrative ground floor plan. Again, have not come to any agreements or leases with any potential tenants, but we do think community facility uses and service providers are viable here, and we want to continue those negotiations in full to full potential. Next slide, please. Here's just the sections of the building and an elevation looking north. Next slide. And then just to recap what the actions are, first seeking the zoning map change from an M14 district, as Jerry mentioned, a vestige of the old manufacturing history of the area, to a C28, which would encompass the development site, and a C46, which would encompass the air rights parcels. And the rationale for the 2 different districts is that the C46 would be mapped over the air rights parcels, and that has a higher commercial FAR of 3.4, so it maintains a more compliant condition in terms of bulk of the 3 buildings that are going to remain. While the C28 would be mapped over the development site, that has a lower commercial FAR of only 2, so it prevents the ability to build a commercial tower in that location. But they do have the same maximum residential FARs, so zoning allows you to transfer floor area from one site to the other for residential purposes. And then the other action would be the zoning text amendment to MIH, The proposal would be MIH option 1, so 25% of the residential floor area would be affordable, and that's at an average AMI of 60%, and that's about 113 apartments, permanently affordable. And so with that, we will take any questions from council. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. You just answered my first question with the rationale. We're proposing commercial and residential, so thank you for that. I just had two questions that I'm going to see if Councilmember Menden has any questions. Is there a precedent in the neighborhood for proposing a rezoning on adjacent lots just to purchase the additional air rights from those lots created by the rezoning?
I mean, there are examples of air rights parcels all around the area in New York City. This is a standard form, but in terms of zoning per se, only rezoning the M1 across the development site would also strand those other three parcels as an M1, and it would just leave them out with any potential for future development other than what they are today. And this allows them to merge with us and get income from the additional air rights, and which will preserve and help them renovate and keep those existing buildings going in the future, which is one of the benefits of mergers and air right transfers.
At the City Planning Commission, the commission noted that the baseline 25% affordability should be reconsidered, given that a rezoning is being requested not only for the development site, but also a neighboring site, allowing for larger development. Are you ready to commit to the level of affordability yet?
I know our clients are thinking about it, and they are, but right now we're committed to 25% at 60% MIA. They're looking at the other options under MIH.
Thank you. Councilmember Menon?
Thank you so much, Chair. So to be clear, just to follow up on the Chair's question, I mean, we've been very clear, both Community Board 8 and my office, about the 30%, so I want to make sure I'm on the record saying that. So a number of different questions. We're still in conversations about this, of course, but at this point, how confident do you feel that you can address the concerns that have been raised by Community Board 8 about the height, and yet preserve the amount of affordable housing that is sorely needed?
Yeah. So when we looked at this proposed building and we designed it with standard floor-to-ceiling heights, as well as a shape and a sculpture to the building that would provide an A-class apartment building in this area of New York City. Within those constraints, there are some ways potentially to modify the floor-to-ceiling heights and potentially the widths of the building and bring it down. And we're in the midst of studying that to determine what can be done that would still preserve the design intent and the unit layouts and the efficiency, as well as the floor-to-floor heights to some extent, and we'll be able to respond shortly.
Okay. I know you mentioned a little bit about sustainable design in your opening comments, but can you be more specific? Are you going to be able to incorporate sustainable design features, a green roof, vegetated planters, rain gardens in the site design? Are there specifically stormwater mitigation measures that are being incorporated into the project?
So right now, it's very early in the process, mainly because for the development to go forward, we need other city or state programs like 421A. But those have been looked at, and they will be incorporated to the extent practical and feasible. There will be stormwater retention per code. We're required to do that, and there are a number of ways to accommodate that. And these are all things that we will look at and we will incorporate into the project. As you know, sustainable measures over the last number of years have been proven to be both environmentally helpful and economically sustainable and beneficial. And we will be looking at all of those as we move forward and formally finalize the design of the building.
Okay. We have a childcare crisis in the city, and it's been a top priority of the council. I know the chair has made this a top priority as well. Last year, the council passed 5 of my bills focused on increasing access to affordable, accessible childcare. Community Board 8 talked about it in their conditional approval, the importance of childcare. We've had conversations about this. I've mentioned specifically the importance of trying to incorporate childcare facilities on the site. You mentioned it briefly, can you talk a little bit more about what specifically you are thinking in that regard?
Yeah, so we, over the course of going through this pre-application process and community review, we've had numerous conversations with service providers in the area, of which some of them are daycare providers, also senior centers. And we understand the parameters of what they would be looking at for those types of facilities in terms of size, location within the building, and the space that has been identified within the proposed building as shown meet all of those criteria for those users. And so we've reached out to some very specific ones, and while it's early to negotiate with them and finalize deals, we do have space that would be appropriate for them, and that's been included in the tentative design.
Okay. You mentioned in your presentation you've reached an agreement with 32BJ, so I'm happy to hear that. I wanted to get a sense of the status of your negotiations with other labor unions. I see we've got members of the Carpenters Union here. We may have other labor here. I'm not sure. There's a big column that's preventing, so if I'm not mentioning someone, I apologize. Could you just give a sense of where those other negotiations stand?
Yeah, we've had a couple of meetings, I believe, with the Carpenters Union, and we are looking forward to continuing that dialogue with future meetings in the near future.
Okay, I'm just going to urge that you continue those conversations. I think it's very important to continue those conversations and absolutely prioritize them.
We understand.
Thank you. If the rezoning is approved as proposed and circumstances change in the next few years, such that the residential building that's proposed is not built, what is preventing you from building a commercial tower on the C4-6 portion of the site?
Yeah, so first, those properties aren't under our control. Like, we don't own those. We're just going to be merging with them in the future. So if the site fell apart, those owners would be subject to the zoning, but we wouldn't have anything to do with that. Having said that, the C4-6 district is a low-density commercial district. The FAR is only 3.4. Further, the bulk regulations of the C4-6 district would require then commercial tower regs, which are different than residential tower regs. And those commercial tower regs have a huge encroachment requirement or setback for any commercial tower, which basically means that the tower would be squeezed, and so it becomes an uneconomic development opportunity for commercial buildings, especially on a narrow street, because the encroachment requirements are so strict. And so we believe that in the future there wouldn't be a commercial tower, there wouldn't be an impetus for it. And the FAR for a commercial tower would only be 3.4 in that location.
And have you identified the mix of units that would be created from studios to 3 bedrooms, et cetera?
We've identified a sample set, and in the slide, I believe it's slide 16. We've got them.
Yeah, it's in the
broken down.
appendix if they want to bring it up.
So the sample that we have as a breakdown, out of the total 452 units, 92 would be, or 20% would be studios. 248 or 55% would be roughly 1 bedrooms. A 91 or 20% would be 2 bedrooms. And then 5% or 21 units would be 3 bedrooms. And again, those would be proportional to both the affordable units as well as the market rate. So it would be the same proportion of units within both programs.
All right. Question that was conveyed to me recently by Community Board 8. they mentioned that the parking study in the project's EAS is from May 2019, so they have raised a concern with me that that is outdated. The study demonstrates that within a quarter mile, there were 21 garages operating at a weekday average of 71 to 86% of capacity. A question is, have you performed any additional assessments on any parking-related needs since the EAS was done in 2019, which is obviously pre-COVID, so circumstances have clearly changed in terms of some of those needs.
Yeah, actually, the study was completed later in 2022 or early 2023, but we used 2019 studies for the parking study because, indeed, they were pre-COVID. And that was accepted by city planning as being the last valid numbers based on, like, not a skewed situation that we encountered under COVID. And that's why it's 2019.
But are there any plans to do any updates to that, is what they're asking?
There aren't, but we can go back and talk to our consultants and see if there are any updated studies recently and see if we can update the numbers for you.
Thank you. And have you considered any other community benefits that the general public would receive as part of the proposed rezoning? I mean, obviously, our office is in conversation with you about needs within the community, so we are laser-like focused on that.
Yeah, we believe the building itself is going to be a huge community benefit in terms of enhanced streetscape, new sidewalks, street plantings, affordable units, a number of new units. Of course, we would be very interested in seeing if there's anything else that we can do for the community in terms of enhanced benefits within reason.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Menden. Councilmember Salam, do you have any questions? Council, do we have any members online who have any questions?
Yes, we do. We have a number of individuals who...
No, any council members?
Oh, excuse me. No, we do not have other council members who have questions.
All right. There being no further questions, this applicant panel is excused. Council did say we have members of the public who wish to testify, so we're going to start with the in-person testimonies. Hold on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're going to start with online testimonies, and then we're going to go to in-person, okay? I'm going to turn it over to the council.
Let me repeat that. Apparently my microphone was not on. Thank you for letting me know. So as I was saying, we have a number of individuals who are signed up online and in person. We're going to go, and some are signed up in opposition and in support of a project. We're going to start with people who have signed up online in opposition, and then we will go back and forth between people who are online and in person. So starting with the first online panel, which consists of Leo Schaff, Joe Hochberg, Elizabeth Rose.
Members of the public will be given 2 minutes to speak. Please do not begin until the Sergeant at Arms has started the clock. We are going to start first with Leo Schaff.
You may begin.
Okay, am I on?
Yep, you're on, Leo. Go ahead.
Very good. Good afternoon. My name is Leo Schaff. I've lived in Yorkville for 45 years, longer than Normandy Court. This rezoning is simply a bad deal for the city and the neighborhood, does not do enough for truly affordable housing. 30% is good, but not enough. Gives up too much in return. Community Board 8 agrees that this is a bad deal, despite the yes vote on November 8th. In fact, as an attendee to that meeting, I was astonished to see how rushed this vote was, even after board members asked about deferring the vote to allow for additional review. That meeting lasted 2 hours, 45 minutes. After a lengthy and misleading presentation, if I may say, by the developer and his spokesperson, almost exactly what I just heard earlier, community members were given 2 minutes to speak. It was noted several times that a resolution needed to be passed that evening, as the building was going to close soon, and option to defer to a subsequent full board meeting was unavailable due to upcoming holidays. In other words, members felt pressured to act on and vote for an application that was not fully understood. Concerns over the proceedings being rushed were voiced by several board members at the time. Valerie Mason said, "Why do we have to approve this tonight? I feel like we're really rushing." To which the chair responded, we do have to kind of wrap this up, and this is our part of the process. After this, we'll have some kind of peripheral involvement, perhaps, but basically it's out of our hands, so this is our chance to ask for what we want, said Russell Squire, the board chair. To reiterate, the resolution was originally no unless, which failed 14-24-1. A subsequent resolution of yes with conditions, with the same exact conditions, passed 32-4-3. While we community members looked on in disbelief, no longer allowed to even contribute to the conversation, because other conditions could surely have been added. If all the chair could say was that after this, we would have some kind of peripheral involvement, but basically it's out of our hands, then whose hands is it in? These proceedings implied with the conditions as part of the yes with conditions vote would be acknowledged and listened to by downstream. Excuse me?
Time has expired. You could wrap it up, Leo.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Okay. So we were astounded to learn that the borough president waived his 30-day review time and did it in 5 days. We've had a chance to meet with Councilwoman Manning. Great to see you. She made no commitment one way or the other, implying that this was proved because the board said yes. She did listen to our conditions and many more concerns, but did she listen? She did listen to any more conditions and concerns of our community members. It was a recorded meeting. If you haven't already, I urge you all, Chair Riley, I'm from Longfellow Avenue originally, members of Brew, Salam, Moya, Schulman, Hanks, Carr, to clear the room and view the Zoom. I believe that had CB8 members truly known
Leo,
that
you
with
could,
the yes
Leo,
vote,
you have
their
10 more
conditions might be
seconds.
mostly cast aside, the outcome would have been no. So speaking for our group, ours would have been no as well. Thank you so much for letting me fill in as best. Yeah.
Next, we have Joe Hochberg. Joe?
Yep. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Joe Hochberg. I've lived in the Yorkville area on and off for about 15 years, and I actually just recently purchased my first home right on the backyard of the new proposed development site. In general, I just want to reiterate that this rezoning is a bad deal for the city and the neighborhood. It just doesn't do enough as far as any of the council or community's priorities, and imposes too much hardship on the residents in the area. There were many concerns raised in the Community Board 8 meeting about the height of the building. Specifically, just a couple quotes. John McClement commented that, I'm very concerned about the height of this building at 484 feet. Are we really accepting our answer as we have a lot of them, why not one more as far as skyscrapers go? There were other concerns, such as Elizabeth Rose saying this is a mid-block building, and every building cited, which they continue to cite today, is an avenue building or a wide street building. I'm having a hard time overcoming what I can only describe as intellectual dishonesty on how we upzone this area. Another Yorkville resident said, the shadow is going to ruin what are right now are family zones, where we enjoy the beauty and nature of the Upper East Side. And yeah, this will impact several buildings and hundreds of residents. And there were also some concerns raised about the contents of the EAS. And I quote, the EAS is paid for in every case, not just this one, by the developer. So bear in mind when you're taking that information, which is Michelle Jane Birnbaum. And just in general, as a resident who lives directly in the backyard, my unit is right up against where they will be building. I will be in kind of permanent darkness. And the entire length of the street on the south side of 95th Street, all of the residents have kind of very small backyards, which is pretty unique to the area. Some buildings are private, some buildings let the entire building use it, but just there are kind of, maybe tens or hundreds of residents who are going to be severely negatively impacted by the height and just kind of live in darkness year round. Every other high rise in the Upper East Side is either on a through block or an avenue or a 4-lane street, so that fewer residents are impacted, or has a park, which benefits people. So they've just kind of pushed it on each one of those dimensions by building halfway on in the mid block, and they're also trying to push it by building the tallest building in the Upper East Side. So just kind of on all those dimensions, I think they're pushing it very hard and not giving very much to the city. Thanks.
Thank you. And the last person on this panel is Valerie Mason.
You may begin.
Elizabeth Rose. I'm sorry. Elizabeth Rose. Elizabeth Rose, if you can hear me, you may begin.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm Elizabeth Rose. I am a member of Community Board 8, although I'm speaking on in my personal capacity. I'd like to first say that I am listed on the form only allowed us a binary choice of in favor or opposed to this proposal. I would like to say I agree with Community Board 8's resolution, which is yes with conditions. There's a lot that we do agree with. And we completely agree that this parcel should be rezoned for residential use. And in fact, I happen to co-chair, and I have the honor of co-chairing a task force for the community board in which we are looking at all of the remaining manufacturing and commercial only lots and blocks that remain on the Upper East Side in order to propose zoning to residential use. We see that as an incredibly important way to help build and address the housing units that we need by rezoning all of these lots that would in a way that would include mandatory inclusionary housing. So we agree with many of the things that are being proposed. Where I disagree and where I think the community board's conditions are important is this applicant has continuously cited all of the other towers on the Upper East Side as justification for the height of this building. As was mentioned by the previous applicant, and I still believe this, every building that the applicant has cited for you is in fact on an avenue or on a wide street. The Avalon Bay site and proposal that they specifically cited for you today in their presentation fronts First Avenue. It is an avenue fronting building. What they are literally talked about doing is bending the avenue around the corner to build an avenue style building on a side street mid-block. And I think all council members know what a side street mid-block narrow block looks like, and they are different than avenues. So the height is an enormous issue here. The lack of a rear yard setback is an issue here. The use of commercial space on the ground floor is not characteristic of the Upper East Side on the mid-block on a narrow street. So they're doing a lot of things here claiming it is characteristic
You can start
of the
wrapping up,
neighborhood
Ms. Rose.
when it is not. So again, I support rezoning this for residential. We are delighted for mandatory inclusionary housing. The height here is a problem, and we would like to see modifications from the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Do we have any council members with any questions for this panel? We can move on to the next panel.
The next online panel will be in support of this project and consists of Valerie Mason, Joseph Hodkin, and Benjamin Weltzer. We also begin with Valerie Mason.
Ms. Mason, if you could hear me, you may begin. Valerie Mason, if you can hear me, you may begin. Ms. Mason? Okay, we'll move to Mr.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm about 6 hours away, so I apologize. I am the chair of Community Board 8 right now. I just wanted to reiterate the concerns expressed by my fellow board member, Elizabeth Rose. I wanted to assure the community that this was a conditional approval and that we have many of the concerns that the community has about the height of this building, about its efficacy and efficiency for a mid-block. This community is desperate for affordable housing. And so we are really looking forward to working with our council member and the developer to see if we can do something here. We are not forgetting about the height. As Elizabeth mentioned, this building in its scope and height is not anything like what should be in a mid-block. That needs to be worked out. Our approval is conditional on meeting meeting most of our conditions, height being the most important to us. We think we can get a lower height. We're hoping that we can have a reasonable negotiation with the developer. And we're hoping that whatever we come to agreement with our council member, that will be acknowledged and agreed to by the city council. There's just one other point I wanted to raise, and that has to do with the destruction of parking. One of the buildings that's part of this development has 400 parking spaces that will be gone. And their parking study was done in 2019. We don't think that it's a valid parking survey, especially with perhaps us going into congestion pricing mode. That's 400 spaces that are going to be lost to the community. We had disabled community members come to our meeting who were very concerned about the loss of parking. That represents over 10% of the parking in that particular area. Again, I look forward to working with our council member and the very interested members of our community to see if we can get something done here. And again, I would hope that the city council will keep us involved and would accommodate us, help us get to a transaction that will put much needed affordable housing in our neighborhood with a reasonable height that is befitting a mid-block in a residential neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Joseph Hodkin. Joseph, if you can hear me, you may begin.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I agree that housing is needed, but the removal of this parking garage, which is, I am one of those disabled people that use it, going to other garages in the neighborhood, they're vastly more expensive. I don't know why this building can't, with over 400 apartments, or whatever the final number may be required to provide parking, because not everybody in New York City takes the subway or taxis. You know, people like myself, my car is the wheelchair I get around New York City in. Also, another major concern that I personally have is for the fire department to access a building that's going to eventually be over 500 feet tall on a single lane, one-way street with trees in front of the building area on all sides. I don't understand how the fire department can properly protect the citizens of the area, and especially the residents of the building. The building itself may be made out of concrete and be fireproof, but unless there are sprinklers throughout the entire structure, the contents is what burns. Also, the parking, the street parking itself, to just try to imagine people moving in with trucks, over 400 moving trucks coming in when people enter every month, and that's going to start, you know, as the building is there, it's going to be total gridlock on the street if it's not blocked entirely by moving vans or delivery trucks. We haven't heard anything about loading docks, off-street storage of their waste from the building. How is that going to
Time
be
has
taken care
expired.
of?
Thank
also?
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph. Lastly on this panel is Benjamin Wechsler. Benjamin, if you can hear me, you may begin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Excuse
hear
me,
you.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great, thank you. I just want to express my support for the project and for the proposed zoning change. This was one of the parcels that was included in Borough President Mark Levine's plan to build more mixed income and particularly more low income affordable housing in New York City. And I really commend all of the great work that Councilmember Menon has been doing to ensure that this is an appropriate project that moves forward with, you know, fair wages and the maximum amount of affordable housing that is feasible. So I really want to just express how grateful I am to see that that happen. My two concerns that I want to voice are, first of all, I hope that the council will not impose any conditions on the project that would make it infeasible for them to continue to have the light and air easement over the surrounding buildings, which is important for the environmental health of the neighborhood. And then also, I'm sort of surprised nobody mentioned this, but would also make it so that the rent stabilized apartment building next door would not be a viable development site from now into the future. I was kind of surprised that nobody mentioned that, but it does seem like an extremely good benefit to this of this project, that building would no longer be under threat of being torn down. The second and the main thing that I am frustrated with, and I know that this is not really something that the council alone can do, this has to start with the City Planning Commission, is that this happened in just this one zoning district as a developer-led private application, when there are at least two other industrial districts, C8 dash something, I'm not sure what's after the dash, but there are two industrial automotive districts in the East 90s on the east between First Avenue and York Avenue that also, I think, should be looked at as MIH developments, where the community would really have
Your
the
time has
opportunity
expired.
to get ahead of these of its potential concerns. I used to live on 90th Street, and we had an extremely disruptive commercial development that happened there because of the outdated commercial zoning, and residential zoning that would include affordable housing would have been much better for the neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any council members with questions for this panel? This panel is now excused. We have one last panel online, and then we're going to go to in-person.
And this final panel online consists of Michael Beecham and Lo Vanderwalk.
Michael, if you can hear me, please unmute, and you may begin.
Hi, this is Michael Beecham. Hopefully you can hear me. Thanks for taking the time to hear my views. So I've lived in Yorkville for almost a decade, across the street from this planned development for almost 7 years. And I just wanted to drill down on one topic that was mentioned in passing, and that's just the impact that it has on the green space in the area. Just to make it real for everybody, I have 2 young children, a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, and they go to a daycare a block and a half away. If you look at the applicant's environmental impact study and just the map of the shadows that this, as everyone's touched on, inordinately large building will cast, it effectively means that the one green area playground that my children go to during the day, their only time outside in New York City, would be covered in shadow during the key parts of the working day, and would effectively mean that my children don't get exposure to sun at all. And I think that it's just worth mentioning that impact is very acute to me, but it impacts everyone in the area who has children, who relies on that key green space as an area in the neighborhood, and is something that goes against some of the testimony on how they're looking to bring in childcare. What we need in the area is not another space for daycare providers. What we need is green space for our children to be able to not just grow up in shadows all day. So that's a major impact for me as well. And one thing I would mention as well is that there is a large mosque on 96th and 3rd that will also be cast into the shadow, and it has some pretty severe religious implications as well, that they will not be able to necessarily have access to the sky in the same way for some of their practices. So I just really encourage the committee to take all these considerations into effect in context of this rush process.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Lo Vanderwalk. Lo Van, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Thank you. Join the panelists. Am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Okay, thank you. My name is Lo Vanderwalk, and I am president and speaking on behalf of Carnegie Hill Neighbors. The block front in question faces a 4-block development that arose out of the conversion of the Rupert Brewery into residential buildings. And while there are tall buildings in that 4-block area, they are interspersed with a lot of open space, which was the intent. So that is one of the frameworks. The other concerns are threefold, which is that the massing in New York City has long observed low buildings in the side streets and tall buildings on the avenues. And that principle is being violated here, and grossly so. Also, the project seeks not just a zoning change from M1 4, but it moves up the ladder to surpassing R8B, R8, R9, and landing at R10 with a 20% bonus. It then masses all the bulk it has in a way to keep the buildings for half its zoning lot low, but bunches the massing so that we get in the eastern half a building that is 484 feet tall, probably the tallest in a 10-block radius, tallest building in a 10-block radius. Further, it provides no usable public open space, as mentioned, and was done, and this is contrary to a recent example in 2016 at 205 East 92nd Street, where a equally tall building was added along near the
Your time
avenue
has expired. Thank you.
and with an open space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for this applicant panel? Okay, this panel is now excused. We're going to go to in-person testimony. The first panel I'm going to call up is Kevin Elkins, Andrew Ellis, and Jeffrey Glave. Excuse me if I mispronounce your name. Okay, we'll begin first with Kevin Elkins.
Good afternoon, council members. On behalf of the 20,000 members of the New York City District Council of Carpenters, I'm testifying about today's rezoning in Councilmember Julie Menon's district. Despite our best efforts to have a productive conversation with the developer about the construction standards on this project, we cannot in good conscience voice our support for this project at this time. Our union has been ignored and brushed off at almost every turn. While that conduct is clearly unprofessional, what matters most is the disregard it shows for the people who could build this project if it's approved without safeguards in place. We've seen what happens when the labor standards of construction workers on affordable housing are out of sight and out of mind for the developer. Income inequality widens, housing costs rise, and your constituents who are members can't afford to call this city home any longer. You have the ability to change this paradigm, and thankfully you have done so in many other rezonings. It's a testament to this council's commitment to workers, and I know especially Councilmember Julie Menon has a deep-seated commitment to workers, and we've seen that here and elsewhere. Despite the applicant's lack of engagement, we have put forward a proposal that incorporates their concerns. After all, a project that does not pencil out does not serve anyone. My members won't go to work, the housing crisis doesn't get any better, and of course, the applicant does not get to profit. We strongly urge you to hold off on supporting this project until we can all agree that those building this project will be paid a safe and paid a family-sustaining wage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kevin, next we will have Andrew Ellis.
Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Andrew Ellis and I have lived in Yorkville for 12 years now. I would like to be clear that I support rezoning of this lot. It is overdue as a manufactured district. However, I'm addressing you this afternoon in opposition to the rezoning as the application is seeking a C28 and a C46 zoning to enable a completely out of character 484-foot, 46-story luxury rental tower in the mid-block with only a 25% affordability component, where more appropriate R8X or C18X zoning for the whole block would provide for the same much-needed housing benefits while still being characteristic with neighborhood. In other words, this rezoning is simply a bad deal for the city and the neighborhood. It does not do enough for affordable housing and gives too much up in return. First, it does not do enough for affordable housing. 25% at 60% AMI produces 113 units, or the negotiated 30% at 80% AMI produces only 135 units. These are the bare minimums required to build. We are in a dire situation. Why are we not fighting for a higher percentage? This is a bad deal for affordable housing. Second, what are we giving up for this minimum amount of affordable housing? We are giving up our light and our air. This 484-foot, 46-story luxury tower in the mid-block is simply unprecedented, and it will be surrounded by low-rise 5 to 6-story buildings. You will be receiving written testimony that includes an analysis of all the buildings in the neighborhood, which will show you what a bad deal this is for the mid-block and that a building of this type belongs on an avenue. Third, what are we giving up for our light and air? There has historically always been a trade-off between height, affordable housing, and open space. In this instance, there is absolutely no open space or green space being created for the neighborhood in return. Unlike other developments, why are we allowing such a bad deal to happen in this city? In conclusion, if I may, you will also receive written testimony that includes a proposal that puts the neighborhood into context and outlines a proposal for how an R8X or a C18X could meet the same affordable housing goals whilst fitting into the neighborhood, alleviating Community Board 8's concerns. I urge the City Council to review this proposal and turn a bad deal into a good deal, and I look forward to the opportunity to work together on making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Last is Jeffrey Glave.
My name's Jeffrey Glave. I've been a resident of Yorkville for 45 years. I'm listening to the developer regurgitate the exact same presentation that they gave to Community Board 8, despite all the concerns raised by Community Board 8. I didn't hear any one of these concerns being given concrete answers in this presentation. The exact same words were used. And the concerns about light and air, height, density, green space, parking, none of them have been given more than the slightest suggestion that they're being talked about. And I can't believe they're coming to the City Council to seek approval with these vapid promises of nothing but profit for themselves at the neighborhood expense. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. One quick question, I'll see if the members have it. Mr. Elkins, so you said in good faith you cannot say that you've had good conversations with the developer. When was the last conversation you had with them, and do you have a future conversation?
We do not have
scheduled?
one scheduled, council member. There was one, I believe, January 10th that took many months of scheduling. We're hopeful that based off the proposal we sent over, after being again brushed off for quite a long time, that incorporated the concerns they reiterated previously, that maybe that will be to kickstart these conversations, because obviously we want to make sure before it gets down to the wire that we can all be, we can all guarantee that those workers are going to be safe on that project.
Thank you. And Mr. Ellis, I would love if you submitted all that testimony. You said that this will be better if they rezone the entire block, and technically this will be a better rezoning on the avenue. I just want to get clarification.
Two clarifications there. This type of a building belongs on an avenue. This is unprecedented for a mid-block development. And the second point is that there's an opportunity to rezone the entire block that leaves open for other developers to come in and build developments in that area that would meet the affordable guidelines, so that instead of having everything in one tall tower that's unprecedented, it would be spread out over that zoning lot. And I believe that might have been mentioned earlier, and the developers had explained that they did not control that lot, which is certainly a valid point. But if that whole area had been rezoned to a more appropriate zoning, it would incentivize others to redevelop that area, thus spreading out that bulk of the building.
Thank you. Do any council members have any questions for this panel? There being no questions, this applicant panel is not excused. Thank you so much. Thank you. The last panel I'm going to call up is Sarah Pennenberg, Jane Lindberg, and Christopher Leon Johnson.
Mr. Ellis will be sending it to you.
I can move it.
Did Christopher Leon Johnson leave? Okay. All right. We will begin with Miss Sarah Pennenberg. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman Riley and the members of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchising. I'm Sarah Pennenberg, and I'm a political coordinator with SEIU 32BJ. 32BJ is dedicated to representing the interests of 175,000 members across 11 states and Washington, D.C. Our union members are the pillar of property service sector here in New York City, performing crucial roles in commercial, residential buildings, stadiums, airports, and a multitude of other locations. Our diverse membership shares a common goal to elevate employment standards throughout our industry. 32BJ has gained a critical commitment from Friedlander Properties and Chapman Group and the creation of good and permanent jobs at 231 East 94th Street. These are jobs that adhere to prevailing wage and benefit standards that 32BJ members have worked tirelessly to establish and uphold in our industry. I urge you to support the project because supporting a project like this would supply good service jobs. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Last, I will have Jane Lindberg.
Good afternoon. I am Jane Lindberg, and I have lived in Yorkville for 44 years. This rezoning is simply a bad deal for the city and the neighborhood. It does not do enough for affordable housing, and it gives up too much in return. I attended the Community Board 8 November meeting, and I was astonished to hear the severity of the concerns around affordable housing. We all agree that the city is in need of affordable housing, but in this case, the developer is only offering 25% affordable at 60% AMI, the absolute minimum. The city is being asked to give up so much, so why wouldn't the developer be a good neighbor and offer more, such as 40% affordable? CB8 agrees. Concerns about affordable housing is a ruse for the developer to build. And I quote, "It's the minimum you are required to do to build something. I don't think this is actually anything that the neighborhood wants." That was from Alida Camp of CB8. I quote from another CB8 member, "I am just shocked by this and by our pretended innocence about what a real estate developer is really after in our neighborhood. And believe me, those other rental units are going to be at market rate, which is only going to go up and up and up and up and up." Jane Parsall, CB8. Further cementing the fact that this project will do very little to address the problem, I quote, "It will increase the stock of unaffordable apartments." Anthony Cohn, CB8. I urge the City Council to reflect upon the voices and concerns of Community Board 8 and act upon the most serious conditions, such as increasing the affordable housing component in a meaningful way to make this a good deal for the city. And I thank you.
Right on time. Thank you so much. Just want to give one last call for Christopher Leon Johnson. Christopher Leon Johnson. Okay, does anyone have any questions for this applicant panel? This applicant panel is now excused. Oh, there he is. All right. All right, Mr. Johnson, you have 2 minutes. You may begin.
All right. Hi, my name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I know that this is about zoning and franchises, and I want to say this right now. The chairman, Mr. Riley, I don't know what's your power with the situation with St. Vitus Bar. I hope that you come out and support the St. Vitus Bar because they got indefinitely closed down because the Department of Buildings, which is a bureaucratic agency that's ran by a corrupt Department of Buildings commissioner named Jimmy Otto, he closed it down. It's a heavy metal rock institution that is, I know it's
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, we could talk about that after.
Yeah, I know, but that's
on
what
this
you need to do.
meeting?
So one more, and another thing about zoning. Mrs. Manine is the chair of the Committee on Consumer Worker Protection. What is your? People want to know what is your opinion about this radical bill that Carmen De La Rosa is putting about allowing these street vendors to park the open shop in the middle of the sidewalks.
Mr.
I know, but-
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, but I know. But,
one last time.
yeah.
We're just going to speak about this. If you have any questions for any council members, we could talk about this after.
All right.
Do you have anything related to this current
this
project?
bill. The project that she's supporting. Yeah, I support the project. It needs to be built. You know, I support the carpenters. Carpenters rise. You know, we need the guys and gals need a lot of jobs. Carpenters rise. I'm wearing pink, but shout out to the guys wearing orange. Shout out to Kevin Elkins for supporting the bill. All the men and women need jobs. I don't know why people against a project where you live in the Upper East Side where the rents are like, if you people can afford the Upper East Side, why you have a big issue with a building being built? These people in the Upper East Side will never fight for the people that live in Fulton, Chelsea, that's being displaced for NYCHA. But they have a problem building being leveled up in their neighborhood. Come on, get out of here. So, you know, this is the thing. These people have no problem with the building getting leveled up, and no problem with rad impact, which is going to displace a lot of people for the carpenters in Fulton, Chelsea. But they have a problem with carpenters building something in their district. Get out of here with that. So I'm gonna say right now, shout out to Julie. Like I said, Julie, off the record, you need to make your opinion about that radical bill about the zoning, stuff like that with the vendors.
Thank you,
but
Mr.
you need
Johnson.
to push. Yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Are there any questions for? Oh, you can stay, Mr. Johnson. I don't know if anyone got any questions for you. Just wait 1 second. Are there any questions for this applicant panel? All right, now you're excused. Thank you. Council, are there any more members of the public who wish to testify on East 94th Street rezoning proposal?
No, there are no more members who have signed up online to testify, and there are no more members in the room to testify before we can proceed to closing this hearing.
All right. Thank you. There being no members of the public who wish to testify on preconsidered LUs to East 94th Street rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. That concludes today's business. I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, subcommittee council, land use, and other council staff, and the Sergeant at Arms participating in today's meeting. This meeting is hereby adjourned.